Welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat. Well, if our classic Chevy pickup truck looks familiar to you, that's because we used it in a prior episode to put a wire harness in. And you know, we got up under the dash here and we realized our gauges, well, they don't look good, they're not bright, and some of them don't even work. You know, I got an idea. I know exactly where we can turn. Dave, help us out.
Well, I don't know if I have all the answers, John, but I know Steve from Brothers Trucks does. If you're doing a restoration or just making a couple tweaks to your truck, you guys are the place to turn.
Yeah, so today I brought a bunch of instrument cluster parts, and I just want to kind of give everyone an idea of what's available. If you're dealing with a stock dash or you're going all the way with like a super custom dash, we basically have everything, and it's sometimes gets confusing, so I just want to bring everything in, kind of show it off. Starting over here with your stock replacement parts. Now, everything that you see, like kind of right here, you know, that's stock stuff. If you got a bad gauge, let's say you're just trying to drive your truck, but your fuel gauge doesn't work, your oil pressure gauge stopped working, we have those replacement parts. If you're doing a restoration, also those are helpful because you can, you know, replace individual parts as needed. There's also some gauges here that we carry, like this vacuum gauge, which wasn't super common. You wouldn't find that in anything but maybe like your 1 ton, 1.5 ton trucks. But if a guy wants to put a vacuum gauge inside of a 1/2 ton or a 3/4 ton truck, we have those options as well. And that's kind of cool. Gives you the option to fill the dead hole in that space, because most of the trucks came with a dead hole in the dash there.
Not even a clock.
No, not even a clock, which actually now we have a clock. You couldn't even get a clock back in those days, but in these 67 to 72 trucks, we actually have a reproduction clock that looks like a factory one, fills that dead hole and makes good of that space. And we have gauges for everything, 47 all the way to 87 replacement gauges. And we actually just recently came out with some gauges, because back in the day they were kind of dumb gauges, right? They were low on one end and high on the other. And so we've made factory looking gauges now that instead of having low and high, they have your actual oil pressure, so 0 to 60, or say your temp gauge 100 to 240 or something like that. So those are kind of cool.
And I love that because it's subtle.
Yeah.
It's the original look, but
right, but you get a little more intelligence from your gauges that way.
Great.
And then as we're moving down here, these are some lenses that we make that help you do some of these conversions that we offer. So if you're converting to, say, a tachometer and you just add a dead hole here, here's your tachometer letters on here. If you have a tach and you wanted to add one of our vacuum gauges I mentioned before, there's a lens for that.
outstanding. And then let's look down here. You're doing a tach conversion?
Yeah, so most trucks didn't come with a tach, but you know, we make a factory tach. And you can take a stock gauge set in your 67 to 72, your 63 to 66, or your 73 to 87 square body stuff like this truck behind us. And you can add a tach into one of those vehicles and it looks like it came from the factory like that. And most of them are super easy plug and play, like this wiring harness here. It's basically 3 wires. One goes to the back of the tach, one goes to power, and that plugs right into your fuse block, and then one goes right to your distributor. And so these are super easy. That's how the factory did it. And we offer the housings that are pre-punched so you can see the tach, which is important, and also the back housing, which allows you to mount the tach. So yeah, those are super simple stuff to upgrade.
Well, you talked about upgrades. Well, this one's super simple. I love this one. This is plug and play, right? This is an entire dash assembly.
Yeah.
And when it comes to on the back, there's a couple connectors, and that is it. You just plug it right in, and you're ready.
Right. So this one looks like jewelry. I mean, when you look at it, like, I mean, it is shiny. The gauges are perfect. Everything's awesome. Obviously, this one's got our new clock conversion in it, but this one also is featuring our 8,000 RPM tach, which wasn't a factory thing. The factory tachs in these trucks only went to 5,000, but clearly guys are building LS engines and building hot rod, you know, performance engines that need a tach that goes higher. And if you're trying to stay with a stock look, but you need those RPM, then this is the dash. And like I said, it looks like jewelry. And when you get it in front of you, it's even better.
And we touched briefly on the fact that this used to be a dead hole.
Right.
So what kind of options can you have there?
I mentioned the vacuum, and then you've got your clock here. And then in some of the other trucks, there's other options, you know, that you could go with as well, depending on what you're working with. And the other cool thing is we have a bunch of other gauges. This is like for your factory dash stuff, but we also have digital gauges that look like analog gauges that are plug and play. They work with your guys that have LS swaps and stuff like that. So that's actually kind of cool too, because they just plug in and everything works.
Although you can go for hours through the catalog and through the website to find all kinds of options for 40 years worth of Chevy and GM trucks. Check them out at brotherstrucks.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Top Coat right after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Custom Autosound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radio since 1977. AP Laser, leading the way. And by Top Coat, the best coatings in the world.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat. You are locked in for a great half hour, and right now we have Steele Rubber with us once again. And Danny, you always bring some cool stuff because you have thousands and thousands of parts in your catalog at Steele Rubber.
Yeah, we have over 12,000 products in our catalog of parts that we offer, and it ranges from simplistic door weather stripping to really complex pieces that are, only made for a specific vehicle.
There's so many parts in your catalog and so many things you have in the warehouse there, but every once in a while you get somebody calling up, say, we don't have parts for this, can you help me?
Yeah, we listen to our customers, and our customers overwhelmingly have told us, I can't find this on the market. And one of those projects happened to be the Lincoln Continentals of the 60s, the JFK era, from 61 to 67, those big four-door convertibles. They had trouble finding those parts, or parts that were even halfway decent. So we took on that project, and I have all three generations of those cars, those roof rails right here, and we have all the parts for them, but these roof rails were kind of a very big piece of that puzzle to come up with all those pieces.
How satisfying is it for all of you at Steele Rubber to come up with something like this that works?
We love it, and our customers love it, and what we love most is whenever our customers tell us, I've been looking for this part, I could not find it anywhere, especially if it's something we just made and now it's there and everyone can enjoy it.
That's one of the classics. You also brought with you something that's not so classic, but it's a very popular vehicle that you don't think about very much.
Yeah, so in a completely separate world, we have made the seals for the Chevy Astro van. And a similar thing, our customers were just telling us, I can't find these seals anywhere. I can't find them. GM doesn't make them anymore. So we took on the project. A lot of guys I talk to, they can tell me a cool story about how they learned to drive in a 64 Galaxy. I learned to drive in a Chevy Astro. So, I don't know if the time's coming where people are wanting to restore them, but, we listen to our customers, and this is the product that we have.
This is an interesting blend to me because you often see things that are classics that people obviously want to keep and restore. In this case, maybe there's some nostalgia involving that, but I see a lot of these vans still in use by painting companies and workers, so there's still a need for this.
Yeah, on the flip side, compared to the Lincoln Continentals, there's millions of these. Chevy Astro didn't change their body style much for 20 years, so that helps, just the amount of people who might be able to use these.
Now, anytime anybody has a vehicle, how do you make a catalog for them?
So we have year, make, model, and even body style specific catalogs that we print off individually for each customer. Like we have one that's just for the 67 Lincoln Continental four-door convertible. We've got one for the Chevy Astro passenger van, not the cargo van, passenger van. It's very specific, it has all the parts for that car, and it's printed on demand.
And if I cannot find something for my vehicle, like maybe these folks have done, what do I do?
That's where we go over to our street rod or universal line. If you're working with something that didn't have rubber on it to begin with, or you're working on something that you can't find parts for and we don't make it, we have a huge line of weather stripping that you can still use to make your car windproof, waterproof, and enjoy that comfortability of the ride.
And the good news is you guys aren't just about cars. What else do you make seals for?
We have parts for RVs, we have parts for boats. All those have stemmed from our customers saying, we want this, I can't find it, and we treat everyone's project like it's our own. We care about it. Just call one of our customer service people and you'll find out for yourself.
And that's on the front end, but it's also on the back end. If I get something to my house and it doesn't work quite right, what do I do then?
We have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and what that means is if you buy anything from us and you're not happy with it for some reason, we will work to make it right. Whether it's getting you a new part, a refund, whatever it is, we want your experience to be the best with us because we do care about it.
Well, everyone we've ever talked to that uses Steele Rubber absolutely loves what you guys do, both the product you make and the service they get. So,
well, we really appreciate it, and that's our goal.
Perfect. You can see if they meet their goal. Check out if they have a part for you or see if they can make one for you. Check them out at steelerubber.com. We will return with more Motorhead Garage presented by Top Coat right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Ohio is the home to lots of firsts, including one rather inauspicious event back in 1891. That year, the town of Ohio City claimed the first accident involving a gasoline-powered car. Engineer James Lambert was driving a motorized buggy he'd invented. He lost control and crashed into a hitching post. Lambert and his passenger both suffered minor injuries. Motorhead Garage coming up right after this. Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
When it comes to audio for your car, the epitome of technology is custom Autosound. Now we'll talk about the Ford F-150 in just a minute because I know what you're thinking. When we talk custom Autosound, we're usually talking about classic cars. For your 1950s street rod or your 1960s muscle car, something like that. You want a car that looks original, but you still want the modern conveniences. You want Bluetooth, you want a CD player, you want all kinds of audio features, you want hands-free and Bluetooth, and that's where Custom Autosound comes in. If you look at their website, they have all kinds of makes. I count 18 different makes of cars, over 400 different models they custom make audio systems for. If you look on their website and you can't find what you're looking for, they have universal radios as well that look great. They look period correct for your car and it'll still look like a classic. Here's what I like also. They have a secret audio radio. You can keep the original radio in the dash. No one will ever know that you have an updated, super cool sound system in there, that you have Bluetooth, you have all the capabilities of a new radio. You keep the integrity of it. You can still show the car and no one will know the difference. Custom Autosound also makes speakers. They even have Kenwood speakers for you. They have kick panel speakers that you can put in your car if you so choose. Also have some speakers that are stealthy. They hide under the seats, and again, no one will ever know. They'll still think the classic car has been untouched and looks original. Another cool speaker I really like are these bullet speakers. They look period correct from the 1950s. They look right out of a 57 Chevy or something like that. You can mount them anywhere you want. We've done them on armrests in the back seats. We've done them under the dash. We've done them in the dash because they can take the place of one of the vents. Of course, everything from Custom Autosound looks great, and that's the idea. It also sounds great, and that's what you need in a sound system. But you got to wonder, are they just making this for looks, or is this something that's going to last? Well, I think it's going to last as long as your car because they put it through all kinds of rigorous tests before it leaves the factory. There was a temperature aging test, extreme temperature test. You have your car out in the heat, or if you live someplace where it's cold, of course, your radio is going to be put to the test, and they test it all there before it leaves the factory. There's also a vibration test, so you know that that muscle car engine is going to try to shake that thing loose and shake it right out of the dash. Not so much with Custom Autosound. It gets tested before you get it in your hands. And customization. Anything you want, they have technicians on site who can make your radio or your slide bar radio fit perfectly with your car based on the make and model without doing any modifications to your car. The key word in Custom Autosound is custom. They have something to suit any one of your needs, which brings us back to this Ford F-150. So of course, under the hood, the owners have done all kinds of mods, but they want a little better sound system, and that is where the System 1 Amplified comes in. This is an amplified subwoofer, and in this truck, we are going to hide it under the back seat. Custom Autosound takes care of everything for you. Let's take a look and see how it goes in. Custom Autosound makes everything super simple to install. The instructions are easy to follow, and really the procedure is not that hard to begin with. Now, the first thing you want to do anytime you're working with anything electrical in your car is disconnect the battery. That'll protect you, and that'll protect your equipment should something happen. And speaking of the battery, this is the inline fuse that you'll want to install with your Custom Autosound system. This is what it looks like. We're going to install this as close to the battery as we can. That way, if you have any sort of power surge, that will protect your system from any kind of damage. Now, let's get to the install here. 3 wires. This is the first thing we're going to do. This is the ground here on the front, so we'll install that. And then we have 2 more wires to connect as well. The second one is for all your accessories. That is our blue wire here. And we will just screw that into the front. The third wire is the power. It's the constant power that goes to your Custom Autosound system. By the way, this speaker here is going to be tucked underneath the seat here. We haven't put the legs on it, but there are rubber feet that you can put on it, and that makes sure it doesn't slide around, and it'll stay right in place under your seat. No one will ever know it's there unless you flip it up like this. All right, now those 3 wires are in. The next thing we want to do, and this is sort of like a phone cord, we connect it in the back here for the remote for our system here, for our subwoofer. And here is what that remote looks like. You can mount it up under your dash, and it's a simple dial. You can increase the level if you want to vibrate your passenger right out of the vehicle, you can turn it as high as you want. Or if you want something nice and mellow, you can just keep it nice and low. It's completely adjustable. Now, I mentioned the bullet speakers earlier. We have a couple of those here, and this is the plug for those into the custom Autosound subwoofer. You can position these speakers, like I said, anywhere you want to. It just so happens in the F-150 there are round vents. We're going to replace a couple of those with these bullet speakers. They're going to look great and they're going to sound terrific. We also have space with this wiring harness for 2 more speakers if you want to place them somewhere else in the vehicle. Up next, the RCA cables coming from the stereo into the subwoofer here. You just plug both of those in here to the subwoofer, and we are ready to go with our custom Autosound system. If you have a car, and I suspect you do if you're watching this program, then Custom Autosound has something for you. Whether it is a new F-150 or an old classic car, you're going to love what they have for you. Check them out at CustomAutosoundMFG.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Topcoat, coming right up.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Topcoat, is brought to you by Stage 8 Fasteners, home of the world's best locking header bolts. Locking kits now available for all turbo applications. Go to stage8.com. TTO, obsessed with custom Jeeps and trucks. J-Cloud, it only takes one because one J-Cloud does it all. And by Tribotex, make your engine last longer.
What I really love about the guys from Tribotex is they love cars, they love their trucks, they love racing, and of course they love motorcycles. And Pasha, that's an area of specialty for you guys. What can Tribotex do in a motorcycle?
In motorcycles, we have wet clutches. And wet clutch is always an area of concern when you add traditional solid lubricants. They might slip, might prevent them from engaging. For Tribotex, it's a very special approach because we are dual-sided nanoparticles. They don't attach to surfaces where friction does not take place. But it's not just pressure, it also takes time. Clutch is engaged only for a short period of time when they engage and disengage. The rest of the time they're stationary. So when they're stationary, nothing happens with them. So it prevents film from forming. And it still forms well on the gears, on the pistons and cylinders, and protect your motorcycle from friction.
Of course, this is your engine oil that's going into the clutch, so there are other benefits you get for your motorcycle from Tribotex.
Yes, thermal barrier effect, very strong in motorcycles.
So more efficiency.
More efficiency, less heat goes into waste, and more heat goes to push down your pistons.
Well, you can make your bike, your car, your Army tank perform better, and you can make it more efficient by using Tribotex inside. See how at Tribotex.com. Now, I grew up in Ohio, and like a lot of folks in the northern part of the United States, Joe, I was used to rock salt when I was growing up, and that led to corrosion and rust on your vehicle all the time. It was just kind of a fact of life. Now there's the brine that you drive through. You see them spray it down before a snowfall. How is that different from the salt that we used to see?
Oh, it's much more effective on the roads.
It's great on the roads, right?
Much more corrosive on your vehicle. So we've had a problem. Let's say this vehicle comes into us and the customer has to drive through brine to get it in. We were trying to prep and clean these vehicles so that they could be boss waxed, and we weren't happy with any of the products that were available on the market. And like so many of our products, what we did was turn to our chemists and said, hey, listen, we need to break down that sticky additive that they put in road brine to be able to effectively clean this vehicle and have a good surface to bond the wax to. And so we now developed our salt brine eliminator, and we use them on our own vehicles when they come in if they've driven through the brine. We also sell it to you as a consumer to use just to maintain your own vehicles.
Once the salt brine remover has been used, what happens to the vehicle next?
So in this case, we're going to let it set overnight dry, and then we're going to apply our wax. In your case, you simply spray it with the foam applicator, rinse it off, and you've removed all of those contaminants, which a car wash doesn't do. Car washes, in many cases, are going to recycle their water, They cannot and they do not remove sodium in that process.
You go into a car wash thinking you're doing the right thing, and turns out it's not.
You're pushing that salt water back up into the body cavities, and it's detrimental. It's actually counterproductive.
How often does the oil need to be reapplied to the vehicle?
The oil should be reapplied on an annual basis, and you should avoid high-pressure undercarriage washes. Go in and have the shell wash, but you don't need to do anything underneath. Let the oil do its job.
Well, just like you get your oil changed, just like you change your transmission fluid, all that stuff, you can also change the oil underneath your car. It'll protect it from rust. Well, we'd like to thank the folks at Rock Auto for coming on board once again to Motorhead Garage this season. And if you're a fan of Rock Auto, you know that it's the one place to go for just about everything automotive, for just about every car out there. And Tom, here's something that's become more popular. In about the last 8 years, Ford's been putting these shutters behind the grills of their F-150s. And of course, when those things go bad, lots of other things can go wrong too.
Yep, yeah, Ford was the first to put these on all their cars and trucks. So they've become more common on Subarus and Nissans and Ram trucks and you name it. And it works like a Venetian blind. It shuts off the airflow so the engine warms up faster. If you live in a cold climate, you don't have to put cardboard in front of your grill when it's 40 below out or whatever.
I'll miss that look.
But over time, they're right behind the grill, so they catch all the bugs and road debris, so the Venetian blind flaps start jamming up or the motor might fail. So you just replace it as a unit and you're all good to go. When you buy parts like this, in the past you used to have to keep like a big paper folder full of warranty information to, hey, is that still under warranty? When did I replace it? And when you order at rockauto.com, you can just go to the order status and returns page, and it tells you right there, hey, this is still under warranty, or this part isn't under warranty, and you just click to get it replaced if you have a warranty claim.
The first thing I think of when I think of that is, when you're buying a filter or something consumable like that, you always forget the years run together. Oh my gosh, I did that a year ago, and it all runs together, and this is a great way to keep track of that. So Rock Auto is not only the most cost-effective place to buy stuff, but it's also a great way to keep track of your maintenance needs. Well, that is a wrap for this episode of Motorhead Garage. Let's say we do it again next week. In the meantime, you can go to our Facebook page and see what we're up to. And if you have something you'd like to see on the show, email Jeff at masterstv.com. So until next week, from our entire crew, we'll see you next time on Motorhead Garage, presented by Top Coat.